My Model 3 Performance is already broken. Hey guys, Jacob Gago here. If you guys remember, I picked up my Model 3 Performance on Memorial Day, and at the time of recording this video, that was less than 2 weeks ago. Believe it or not, I just picked up my Model 3 Performance from the service center. For those who are new to Tesla, the service center is essentially where your car gets repaired, and it's all in-house. Just like Ford and Toyota will have their own repair center, well, it's called Service Center for Tesla. In this video, I'll tell you guys the issues that the car had and the things the service center fixed and did not fix. And then I'll also tell you guys my opinion of where Service Center is compared to my last experience in 2021. The first issue I had, and if you saw my delivery day video, I did report a couple things, so this is not new to you guys. One of the first things was I had an issue with the left side tailgate power struck. So this wasn't me that wrote this. This was literally one of the service rep persons on site. I noticed that there was a gap there. And if we look into whether the Tesla service fixed it or not, it does say that they adjusted the trim and trunk alignment to reduce concern. Gap and overlap are within spec. You gotta know something about Tesla. Not everything is gonna be fixed, and I get it, because some things are not worth fixing, because then you create other issues. So I totally understand how that works. However, they have something called within spec. If something is within spec, that means they're more likely not gonna fix it, or another way of putting it, they don't give a. The second thing that was repaired also was reported on delivery day. This one has to do with the right side rear quarter panel, that the rear bumper was misaligned. With this issue, I didn't really expect it to be fixed. I think it was just worth the try, because the thing about rear panels is once it's off, you're gonna have to start adjusting other places within the car to compensate for the missing gap. So with that being said, I expected that this was gonna fall within spec. This third one actually pissed me off the first time I picked up the car. Literally the next day, a piece came out from under my seat. The part that actually annoyed me from the issue was when I took it to the service center, they first told me, oh, they mistakenly just left the part, but they're sure there's no parts missing. And I kept arguing with them that this actually came out from underneath my seat. I basically forced them to still check, and behold, after they looked at it, this was an actual missing piece from my seat. Funny enough, without this piece, the ventilated seats were still working, but just not as powerful. Now that the piece is in there, literally the ventilated seat feels way better. So this fourth thing was actually one of the main reasons why I went to the Tesla Center. For some reason, on the driver's side, there is this sound that you can't really hear unless you're in an enclosed environment, say like a drive-through or you're driving against a wall. There's this sound that just goes. Obviously, that was a concern for me. I'm like, it's too early to be having some kind of weird wheel or tire issues. With a lot of these issues, Tesla service has to recreate the issue, so they have to fix it. That's like with most mechanics. So you kind of have to keep your fingers crossed that your issue would present itself. Luckily for me, this was an easy issue. As soon as we got in the car with one of the service managers, I don't know why there was a manager in my car, whether they believed me or not, I don't know what it is, but it was a manager in the car, and we drove around. In less than 10 seconds of leaving the lot, the sound started. He told me that this was a problem with the prior 18-inch and also with the new aero caps. I was a little confused about that. I understood the 18-inch prior Model 3s because those have been around for a while. But being that I was one of the first to get the Model 3 Performance, I was really amazed to hear him say that this has been a known issue. I don't know if that meant that there's other people who have Model 3 Performances who have brought this in, or he's just talking. After we diagnosed the problem, he started telling me that he's gonna try his best to isolate the issue by reducing the noise or just getting rid of it altogether. Sadly, it's still there. I'm considering taking it to a different Tesla service to see if they could fix it. With that being said, if you do have a Model 3 Performance or know someone, or even the older generation 18-inch, if you happen to have that kind of sound, please do let me know so I know whether this is normal or not. But it really does get annoying. This next one was actually a big issue between me and Tesla. I promise I did not know I had this issue underneath the car. They call it the front under tray. It was broken. They're blaming me for it, even though the car is less than a week and a half. And also it had, at that time of reporting this, less than 500 miles. They're saying that within that time, I had an impact. I do understand what they're saying, that yes, I drove the car and anything could have happened in between that time. it didn't add up to what they were saying. First, they told me that it was an impact to my rims, but if you look at my rims till date, there is no scratches or any type of impact. In fact, in my accessories video, I'm adding some things to make sure I don't get scratches on my rims. So make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. But with that being said, there actually has been no impact. And to my best knowledge, I do not remember ever hitting anything that caused me to say, oh damn, like a crazy dip or a bump. I did not go through any of that. Essentially, Tesla was sticking to their guns that it was my fault. And then I also was sticking to my guns that I think it's unfair for me to pay for something that wasn't my fault. The funny part is a lot of the things they said was contradicting itself, like saying that I had impact to my rims and then later on to say, oh, it's not impact to the rims. Then they proceeded to say to me that the front wheel, they're short on both the driver's side and the passenger side is both broken. Comes to find out it was only on the driver's side. Then they proceeded later to say, oh, it's just anything could have happened and they no longer know how it happened, but it's my fault. The fact that they kept saying that it was my fault actually frustrated me. And you guys literally followed me throughout my whole journey. We just drove to Santa Barbara and came back. On the way there was no bumps or any kind of issues to cause this. I'm almost down to bet that this was something I did not do and it was actually done during transportation. Something must have happened, but unfortunately, they're blaming me for it. The resolution we had on this is they reduced the fee. So it wasn't much the first time around. Not that I couldn't pay for it. I just didn't like the way they were blaming me for something. And also they're saying that this was something that wasn't covered within the warranty, which annoyed the heck out of me considering it's still a new car. The first charge was about $380, but they brought it down to $272. So, you know, they did bring it down. However, I think it's still unfair that I had to pay for that. Stick around to the end. I'll tell you guys what I'm actually gonna do regarding this issue. And the last issue, which annoyed the heck out of me, guys, if you saw my last video, I talked about this. The steering wheel signals would sometimes get stuck. Say I'm signaling to the right and literally on the steering wheel, the button will get stuck. And so I have to go left and then hit right again to unstuck the whole steering wheel, which annoyed the heck out of me. Comes to find out there was an issue with the steering wheel and the whole thing got replaced. Since they replaced it, I literally fell more in love with the stockless design. Now with the new steering wheel, when I'm signaling, I actually hear the buttons, whereas on the prior steering wheel, I barely heard any of that. However, I would say that it did get stuck once, but nowhere near as much as the prior steering wheel had. The fact that it still did it that once just means that there is potentially an issue with the steering wheel design. However, the frequency of it occurring is far less with the new steering wheel. So what is my conclusion with the service center? It's still trash. Some things were fixed, some things were not. Some things were just pushed enough just to be within spec. My first Tesla was a 2021 Model 3 Standard Range Plus. The first week of picking up my car, literally it was already in service. At that time, they brought service to your house. So one of my cameras was actually bad. So they came over and replaced that. And then there were other issues, but unfortunately they did not fix that because I had to take it to a service center. And when I took it to the service center, they found even more issues, which was my upper glass panel. Literally the glass on the roof, the whole thing got replaced because it was not seated well. I don't know if it's me, if I'm just getting bad luck with these Teslas. If you are having issues, I would love to know in your comments below. It doesn't even have to be the Model 3 Performance. It could be anything. I would love to know what your issues have been. So make sure you comment below. However, this has been my experience. The semi-good news is a lot of this is still within warranty. And so when they're fixing this, it does make the car a little bit better. But like I said in my prior video, and some people came at me with it, and I am standing strong on it, Tesla is not a luxury company, and also leadership sucks. Paying $60,000 to $70,000 on a car, I can't imagine BMW or Mercedes treating their people like that. And I know this because I've had both cars before, and also majority of my cars were BMWs and I had no issues, no panel gap. And when I did have issues, it fell under the warranty or they'll take care of you. But with Tesla, it really feels like a blame game. Who did what and whether it falls within spec. And not to mention, I even got lucky to get a loaner. Usually they'll give you a Uber certificate for I think $100 a day, and you could go anywhere with that. Whether that's enough for you, I don't know. Some people that's not enough, especially if they wanted to buy food. So that could be a problem, but luckily for me, I got a loaner. Something I even messed out was they kept lying to me on when the car would be ready. I took it in on Friday. They said, oh yeah, all these issues should be done by today. Nothing happens on Friday. Next thing I know, it's Saturday. I check in, they tell me, yeah, it should be done by Saturday. And I kept checking in every single day. And finally I got the car on Tuesday. So it took literally 5 days for me to get this car back and not blame me for something that I know I did not do. So there are a couple things that I was really considering. I was honestly considering to have Tesla repurchase the car and just me go and leave Tesla altogether, and I'll just go back to BMW just because like I'm so tired of all the issues. Another option was for me to report this to the Auto Bureau. So that is something I may still look at. It's not like I'm here snitching or like looking for something or trying to get my money back. Yes, I know they have a great product. Yes, I know gas prices are high, but I really don't care so much if your customers are not being treated well. Tesla, it's really just hype. I know I'll get a lot of pushback for this, but I really don't care just because it is what it is. So like I'll warn you guys, if you are expecting to get a Tesla or you're looking to buy one, just know that these are issues that you're more likely to face. Everybody knows the service center is trash, and God help you if you have some type of collision, because you are not gonna see your car for a good 3 to 4 months. I know this because this happened to some people I know. Also, more importantly, if you pick up your car, make sure you walk around and see that there is no issues, and if there are issues, make sure you report all that on the app the day of. When you come off the lot, make sure you put your windows down, make sure there is no sounds or anything weird, and just make sure to report anything you run across, because after a certain time, they're gonna blame you for it. As of now, since the car is still working pretty well, I decided to keep it, but I'm pretty sure if any kind of issues arise, I am gonna consider the repurchase. Until then, my mind is still to keep the car, so I still do have an accessories video that I'm gonna be working on that you don't wanna miss out on, so make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. I'm really grateful for the support you guys have been giving me. Just in a month's time, I've grown over 1,000 subscribers, and also my views for some of my videos are just out of here. So I'm really grateful for it. Please make sure you comment below. I would love to thank you personally. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.